Hey everybody, John O'Connor here again, and welcome back to Lexington. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the Elves of Lexington. When designing the Elves for Lexington, I took the traditional idea of their higher-than-thou status, we're on a higher echelon, and I either, depending on your definition of how I did things, I either evolved that idea to the next level, or I de-evolved the idea by turning it into xenophobia. Or really, racial pride would probably be a better word. Because in 1322 of the third grade age in Lexington, the Elves, I've got the map here, I'll show you where the Elves were from. The Elves of Jericho, which is all of this area, there's a river border. Sorry, I'm trying to trace it with my finger and look at the camera, and that's not working out. But you can see that Jericho is this whole chunk of land right here, and this river border kind of is where it cuts off. So that's where the Elves of Lexington are from. And in the year 1322, they got this great sense of pride and this great sense of, well, you know, humanity as a whole, good, bad, or indifferent, are horrible rulers because their end game is considerably shorter than ours. You know, they don't have the capability of doing the long game. Because 100 years for a human, well, he probably won't survive to see that long. Or an elf, that's how long it took me to kind of get to an adulthood. So, the elves decide the old garb needs to be taken down, that the old rulers of Lexington need to be eradicated. So they waged this huge war, which it probably took them 50 years to plan out, and 50 to 75, they were planning out, they were meticulously thinking about where they should strike. And they knew that although they had enough forces, they also wanted to minimize the damages to themselves. So I used a lot of Player's Handbook 2, and I said their ranks included barbarians, wizards, sorcerers, drow servants. They had a humanoid front line like any war would have, but they also evolved combat by introducing iron juggernauts, copper serpents, spell guards. They knew that although a lot of these characteristics could be found in one of their warriors, there's a lot safer bet that if you put it into a construct, you can minimize your damage and loss of life while maximizing the enemies. So they really evolved warfare in Lexington. And the war lasted for about 10 years. Did quite a bit of damage. They were even able to get to the other side of the great Catman Deathclaw Desert, which, as a point of reference, my map is roughly, it's close to the size of Asia, probably a little bit bigger. So you gotta imagine people on foot trekking through, not an easy feat. In a subsequent video, I'll tell you the actual, what 1 inch on the map equals in feet. I don't have that. Me and Jonathan have gone back and forth about it. We've agreed on something, but he has written down, I don't. So, the Elves modernized warfare, did a substantial amount of damage, but their problem is that they just spread themselves too thin, which forced them to retreat at some point. And now, here 500 years later, because my player's now playing in 1824 of the third grade age, the land of Jericho, where the Elves come from, is still paying back reparations to other parts of Lexington, for damage of life, damage of crops, they're slowly paying back. And a large part of the elven community has gone, alright, we may not like humans, but we respect them. We understand that there's a reason for their existence now. And that our racial supremacy, we just have a different set of skills than everybody else. So it really took a war in my world for them to develop tolerance. They had to develop a strength and understanding. Because while the elves thought they could just do it with them and their drow servants, the elves were smart enough, or the humans were smart enough. Well, we have gnome allies, we have halfling allies, we have dwarf allies. We provide them trade and commerce. We explain to them, if you allow the elves to eliminate us, you're going to lose a lot of goods and services that only humans can do. So it was just to illustrate that the humans could, bargain and barter. Did the elves have a greater force? Yes, against the humans. Did the elves have a greater force against the combined strengths of humans, dwarves, gnomes, halflings, lizard folk, cat folk? No. They could have gone against any one threat by themselves and wiped it out. They chose humans who like, dislike, hate, loathe, love, admire, do have the ability to talk, to gab, to be a little bit of everything. So they were able to see how the war was going and what they needed to do, so that determined the allies they made along the way. Where the elves, so strong in their racial pride, didn't want to ask for outside help. So in the end, they just kind of fell apart. I've actually had a player play a daughter of a noble from Jericho, and her worldview is very well rounded because the king of Owen, one of the two capitals of Jericho, actually fought with the resistance against the elves, and to ensure that the elves could keep control of Jericho and not just have Lexington dispense other leaders to force their government to do anything, Avelius Angard stood up and was like, I will take a position in the Elven realm, because, he'd earned his name in war, helping the allies. He was a well-trusted guy. He was a very straight and narrow individual. So they allowed him to become king, an elected king, allowed him to become king of Owen, and so one of my players, Jonathan, played the subsequent daughter, who got to travel around Lexington and seeing it, because the king has to make appearances, make those public apologies. It's not enough for him just to send off gold and be like, okay, now I'm done. There's a very much an air of the elves of past wronged you. On behalf of my country, I apologize. So, those are the elves of Lexington. Tell me what you guys think. And if you like this idea, I might do some of the other races. They're not quite as fleshed out as the elves are, but they're getting there. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and share. See you guys later.